Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Fluent and Fearless. I'm Katherine Arthur, a pronoun speech and accent specialist. I'm a speech-language pathologist, accent and pronunciation specialist, and a radio broadcaster. So today's episode is actually a follow-up episode to one of our previous episodes about the communication challenges that healthcare recruiters can face when speaking English as a second language. And honestly, this follow-up has been highly requested. A lot of listeners reached out after that episode and said some version of, "Yes, that's exactly what I experienced, but what do I actually do while I'm on the call in order to be understood more clearly?" So today that question is something that we're going to try to answer. We're going to be talking about how to help people understand you the first time. Because if you work in healthcare recruiting, you already know this. That clear communication is not just something that's nice to have. It's a big part of your career. Clear communication affects your calls. It affects your confidence. It affects your client relationships. And honestly, it affects your energy levels as well. Because repeating yourself all day, well, that's just exhausting. So in today's episode, I'm going to walk you through 5 strategies to help you be understood the first time, especially if you work in a fast-paced, phone-heavy, relationship-driven field like healthcare recruiting. So let's get into it. On Fluent and Fearless, I'm Katherine Arthur. So before we get into the strategies, I want to say something important. If you've ever been misunderstood at work, that does not mean you're a poor communicator. In fact, many healthcare recruiters I work with are incredibly articulate, intelligent, and persuasive. The issue usually isn't that they don't know what to say. The issue is more often that they know exactly what they want to say, but they don't always express it clearly enough when they say it out loud. And in healthcare recruiting, that can feel especially frustrating because so much of your job depends on spoken communication. You're making calls, leaving voicemails, screening candidates, talking about things like work schedules, pay rates, credentials, compliance, contracts, units, shifts, and logistics. Often you're speaking about these things very quickly, and often with people who might be distracted or multitasking while you're on the phone with them. So if your speech isn't immediately clear, the listener may not work very hard to fill in the gaps. And that's not fair, but it's real. So the goal today is to make communication easier for both you and your listener. So let's get into some real practical advice. Here come my 5 strategies to help you be understood the first time. Strategy number 1, lead off with the most important words. One of the biggest reasons people miss important information is because the speaker will often bury the key point in the middle of a long sentence. This is especially common when English is your second language, translating your thought structure from your first language, and that's completely normal. But in spoken English, especially on calls, clarity improves when your key message comes early. So instead of building slowly to the point, try putting the most important information right up front. For example, instead of saying, "Hi, I was just calling because I wanted to discuss with you maybe an opportunity that could be a good fit for your background." See how long that is? Why not say instead, "Hello, I'm calling about a travel ICU opportunity in Phoenix." Do you see how instantly easier that is to follow? You're getting right to the point and helping your listener catch the meaning much faster. And that matters because a lot of people are only half listening after a while, especially on the phone, and you can lose that person's attention very quickly. So when you're about to speak, ask yourself, what's the main thing that they need to hear? Then say that part first. That one change alone can make you sound much clearer and more confident. Here's strategy number 2. Slow down on key words, not the whole sentence. This one is huge. A lot of professionals will get advice like, just slow down when you talk. And honestly, that advice is too vague to be useful. So don't do that unless you're really speaking much too fast. Because if you slow down everything, you're going to end up sounding unnatural overly careful, or even tense. Instead, I want you to think about this. You don't need to slow down all the time. You need to slow down where the meaning happens. That means slowing down slightly on words like names, specialties, numbers, dates, locations, pay rates, details about working hours, and credentials, plus anything the listener would need to write down or remember. For example, instead of saying to your listener, "This is a 13-week mid-surge contract in Albuquerque starting April 15th at night," try this. It's a 13-week med-surge contract in Albuquerque starting April 15th on the night shift. Same sentence, but you're emphasizing the important words. That makes it much easier to understand. Now, why is this? Well, it's because listeners don't need to hear every word equally. That's how American English works. We don't emphasize every single word equally, just the important ones. And if you're a healthcare recruiter, your candidate needs to hear the important words in order for your message to be clear. Think of it this way. You're not speaking in just one long stream of words. You're handing your listener small pieces of information a bit at a time. And the more clearly you hand over the important pieces, the less likely they will be to ask you, "Hey, could you repeat that again, please?" Strategy number 3. Use pauses instead of rushing through your sentences. This kind of refers back to the previous strategy, but it's also one of the most underrated communication tools for ESL professionals. A lot of people think that pausing will make them sound unsure and uncertain, but actually, rushing and speaking really quickly sounds less confident than pausing. Because when you rush, the words start to stick together, the endings of the words disappear, and the meaning of your speech can get kind of blurry, and that makes your listener work harder. And you definitely don't want your candidate to have to do that. So remember, when you use small, intentional pauses, your speech becomes much easier to process. It doesn't become robotic, and it doesn't become dramatic. It just becomes more clear. For example, instead of saying, "I'm just calling to follow up and see if you are still interested in the position we discussed last week," that's hard to understand, isn't it? You might want to break that up and say, "I'm calling to follow up and see if you're still interested in the position that we discussed last week." This pacing gives your listener little landing spots, and in professional spoken English, that really matters a lot. So here's a great rule for you to remember. Pause after your opening line, before important details, and after important details, before a question, and after a question as well. Here's an example. "I have an update for you. The hospital wants to move forward. Are you available for a call this afternoon?" Now, doesn't that sound clear and in control and organized? And by the way, that's exactly how we want confidence to sound. Not louder, not faster, but just more structured. Strategy number 4. Make your most common phrases automatic. This one is a real game changer because here's what happens for a lot of ESL professionals. You're not just trying to communicate. You're also trying to form the sentence correctly, pronounce it clearly, and sound professional, and all at the same time. That's a lot of mental work. So one of the smartest things you can do is to stop making up every sentence as you go along. Instead, build a bank of high-frequency phrases that you will use all the time in your recruiting role. Phrases like, "I'm following up regarding," "I wanted to confirm," "The next step in the process is," "Let me clarify that for you." Just to make sure we're on the same page, here's what that would look like. "The reason I'm calling is..." Now, when these phrases become automatic, your speech becomes smoother and more natural. Why is that? Well, it's because your brain has fewer things to manage in real time. And that means you can focus more on connection, listening, persuasion, and your confidence. Try this. Choose 5 phrases that you say almost every day at work. Write them down, practice them out loud, and repeat them until they feel easy and natural to say. Not just familiar in your head, but easy when you say them out loud. That's where fluency really starts to show. So practice your phrases out loud and practice them often. And finally, strategy number 5, check understanding in a professional manner without apologizing. Here's what I mean. A lot of people assume that if someone didn't understand them immediately, that they failed somehow. So they respond by apologizing or sounding embarrassed. And as a speech professional, I want to challenge that. Because in professional communication, checking for understanding, that's not weakness. It's actually a high-level communication skill. Strong communicators do this all the time. They confirm, they clarify, and they reinforce. But they do it in a way that sounds calm and professional. So, for example, instead of saying, "Sorry, maybe I said it wrong," try, "Let me say that one more time clearly." Or, "Just to confirm, the start date is," or "Let me break this down for you quickly," or "I just want to make sure that part is clear." Now that sounds composed, not insecure, and it gives you back control of the conversation. This matters especially on phone calls because if audio quality is bad, the person is distracted, or they're unfamiliar with your speech pattern, misunderstanding can happen for a lot of reasons. It's not always about your accent. Sometimes it's just communication being communication. So don't automatically internalize every misunderstanding as a personal failure. Instead, build your skills of clean, professional clarification. Now that's something that's really powerful. So to recap, let's go over the 5 strategies that we discussed today. Number 1, lead with the most important words. Say the main point early in the phone call. 2, slow down on key words, not everything. Make the high-value information easy to catch. Number 3, use clean pausing. Let your listener process what you're saying. Number 4, make common work phrases automatic. So stop building every sentence as you go along. And number 5, check understanding professionally. Clarify without apologizing and without embarrassment. And if you start using even 2 of these strategies consistently, you might notice something really important. People will begin to understand you quicker, and you start trusting yourself more when you speak. And that confidence will continue to grow, and that confidence really matters. Because communication is not just about how other people hear you, it's about how you feel when you're speaking. So if you're a healthcare recruiter listening to this, and you've ever felt frustrated, discouraged, or drained by having to repeat yourself over and over, I want you to hear this. Clear communication, that's a skill, and skills can be built. You've come this far in your career, so you don't need to become a different person. You don't need to erase your identity. And you don't need to wait until your English feels perfect to sound more effective. Remember, none of us are perfect, and we never will be. Instead, think about this. Sometimes the biggest changes come from very small adjustments. Adjustments like where you place emphasis on your words, where you pause, how you structure your message, and how you recover when communication breaks down. That's what helps people understand you the first time. And that's what helps you sound more fluent, more credible, and more fearless. And with that, this is Katherine Arthur, a pronouns, speech, and accent specialist. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today on Fluent and Fearless. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with another healthcare recruiter, an ESL professional, or anyone who uses English all day at work and wants to communicate more clearly and more confidently. And remember, if you speak English as a second language, you've already accomplished something remarkable. You're working, collaborating, and building relationships in a language that isn't your first. But even highly skilled professionals sometimes feel their spoken communication doesn't fully reflect their expertise. People may occasionally ask you to repeat yourself, meetings move quickly and it's hard to jump in, or you simply want your voice to sound as confident as you truly are. That's where my free guide can help. Speak with Confidence is filled with tips to help you sound more natural and more professional when speaking American English. Get your copy of this free PDF guide today. All you have to do is go to my website, pronouncespeech.com, pronouncespeech.com. Click the blue button near the top of the page, and you'll get your free guide on its way to you. It's that simple. Speak with Confidence, a guide for ESL professionals. Again, go to pronouncespeech.com, click the blue button for the free Speak with Confidence guide. It's right near the top of the page, and your free guide will be on its way to you. So get your free guide and then get out there and turn that spark into a flame. I know you can do it. And be sure to connect with me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Pronounce Speech and Accent Specialists. I'm Katherine Arthur. That's Katherine with a K. And you can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd really like that. So look me up on social media, drop me a message, because I really enjoy talking to each and every one of you. Again, Katherine Arthur here. Until next time, keep speaking, keep showing up, and keep reminding yourself that your voice deserves to be heard. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time on Fluent and Fearless.